Salveta, my name is Richard Campbell. I'm going to narrate a presentation by Mrs. Bettina Winkler, an Italian who has been studying Roman herbs and pharmacy information for the last 9 years. She presents living history displays around Europe and has put this together for the VJCL. This is Mrs. Winkler. You can see that she is standing in front of her display, a portable display that she carries with her. Notice also that she has a great deal of artifacts, glass and things that she has very carefully had created for herself. She was born in Heidelberg, Germany. She is actually German. She graduated from University of Heidelberg, but she has been living in North Italy for 20 years, where she can grow and collect medical plants and all the other herbs and things that one gets and expects to see in a Roman pharmacology. Mrs. Winkler has presented her displays and her living history artifacts to what are called archaeological parks around Europe, something equivalent to like Mount Vernon in Virginia. These are ones that are dedicated to Roman history because they're sited on the sites of Roman cities, such as Augusta Raurica, Carnuntum, Arles, Trier, and Aquileia. These are all in Germany, France, Austria, and other museums around Europe. Mrs. Winkler has been studying not just Roman, but medieval and 16th, 17th century medicines, and can make a very good comparison between the sophistication of Roman herbal technology versus later ones. She wants to emphasize that people make the error of thinking that medicines were simple or primitive 2,000 or 3,000 years ago. Roman medicines, however, have most of our basics of our modern medical preps, although they didn't have antibiotic and they could not distill alcohol, much as I've tried to find evidence of that. But they did have alternatives, and some plants are natural antibiotics. It is important to know that, as she points out, that in the medieval world, medicine had taken a big step backward for the Roman period, one of those technologies that was lost. Mrs. Winkler's displays have not come together quickly. It has taken a lot of study to come up with all of and you can see them there, the pots, the mortars and pestles, the scrolls, the herbs themselves, all of that information. So she started out from childhood with a interest in pharmacology, for her father was a professor. And they're not just the herbs, but minerals and so on. And it's taken many years to put all of it together. As she says, to present accurately means to study the ancient medical texts of authors like Dioscorides, Pliny the Elder, Celsus, Soranus, and Galenus, which is a period probably spanning around 500 years, and to continue researching modern archaeological sources, scientific reports, analyses of archaeological finds, and so on, as well as visiting museums to see the original objects, of which there are quite a few, then to find artists to make replicas, accurate replicas, to represent in her displays. This little photograph shows you just some of the details required to accurately present a pharmacologist of the Roman period. Mrs. Winkler often collaborates with actual archaeologists and museum curators to make sure that the objects that she is representing accurately depict museum displays. You can see both brass instruments here, slates, weights, spatulas, wooden and ceramic and marble containers, all kinds of things. Each one is based on an archaeological find or a museum piece. The flat black slate sitting in front is called a palette, and that's used for mixing pastes and like olive oils and medicines, herbs and such, to make them for poultices or things that you might swallow. Palette is an English word, is not the Latin word or Italian or German word. It is also used for cosmetics and other pure straight doctors, medicus, will also use a palette. Mrs. Winkler grows a large selection of actual Roman herbs in her garden up in the hills of northern Italy. This particular one is the opium poppy, which apparently was known to the Romans as well, Papaver somnifera. This plant is the Ferula laserpizio, which is a candidate for the Roman silphium, although most people think that the silphium went extinct per se because it was so valuable in Roman times. It was apparently worth its weight in gold, even during the time of Augustus. That this one is a candidate for what the silphium was. It was a very popular plant as seasonings and medicines. And this one is the mandragora, which may look familiar to you Harry Potter people. There are only, or at least 1,000 ingredients that the Romans knew. They knew their plants very well, and of which she can only show a few of them. Romans herbalists would carry their dried drugs around in boxes to be available for like a traveling medicine person. The Romans also prepared macerations, which are like extracts where you infuse the herb in a liquid so it becomes like a tea, something like tea. The medicine comes out and makes a liquid solvent or a liquid medicine. Here are 4 macerations. You can see that the water or liquid that these herbs are in have all been tinted various types of colors, and they have true cork stoppers on them. The Vipsania aegeria that you see is her actual sort of a stage name in Latin. Roman surgeons or medical people would soak a sponge in these macerations and use it to clean wounds. They had some sort of antiseptic property, some of them did, or to apply medicines directly to a wound. This photo is of an actual mandragora root, which differs considerably from the drawing that you saw a little earlier. And it's on yet another type of palette, this one made of marble. You can see now where Harry Potter actually kind of got the idea from, but these don't wiggle. Pretty much nothing happened in the Roman world without reference to a god or goddess at some point or other in whatever it was you were doing. In this case, Roman medicine, in addition to other Roman gods of medicine like Mercury, this one is called Salus, and she is the goddess of safety and well-being, even though she has the US ending. Such small shrines would be typical in Roman shops, and they might even carry them around. They were portable shrines that would be carried with you on the road. Now, the mortar down there, which is very interesting because it has 4 knobs on it, is an exact copy of one in a museum. Here you can see some of the dried herbs, some of which look like sage. You might recognize some of them. A green liquid that looks like some sort of mint thing. Mrs. Winkler's English is not very good, and so the German or Italian words she gave, I have no idea what exactly went into them. But interestingly, also in the back, you see that little pot up at the top that has a little spout on one end with a strainer on top of it. You can see what this would be something where you'd prepare something for someone to drink, because that's like a little drinking spout. You would probably pour the maceration in there, and that little sieve would catch leaves and other debris, so you wouldn't have to give that to the patient. This is only a very small portion of her entire display. She encourages you to go off and read more about it in the actual books that from the Roman authors that she cited, as well as artifacts and that you can see in museums and academic papers that you can get from places like academia.edu. To give you an idea of what her displays look like in real places, this one above is her display in a restaurant or thermopolium in Ostia itself. And this is probably one of the most famous and most complete and intact little restaurant, fast food bars in the entire Roman world. It's very well known, and you can certainly visit it and walk around and touch pieces of it like she is doing. Mrs. Winkler is at an outdoor display without her usual umbrella cover. It is at an archaeological park and the former Roman city of Libarna. These former Roman cities, well, there are a lot of former Roman cities all over Europe. So you're like tripping over them. This one is a more lesser known one in the north of Italy, called Libarna. Mrs. Winkler would also like you to know that you may contact her through Facebook, through her Roman name, Vipsania Egeria Pharmacopola. And she's very pleased to have done this for you and hopes that you are inspired to study a little more about it. And feel free to contact her at any time.